Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first official event for our families of, are you ready for it? The class of 2034. Yes, the class of 2034 are incoming kindergartners, and we are so excited to welcome you all to our schools. My name is Sue Chirochak, and I have the privilege of being the superintendent of schools for Beverly. I know that this is not the usual way that we conduct our parent kindergarten night, but this year has been anything but usual. So I hope that you'll learn through tonight that we are willing to adapt and change and do whatever it is that we need to do to make things work for you and for your families. Tonight, you're going to have the pleasure of learning a lot about kindergarten and what you can expect and what you should plan for. But before we begin, we wanted to share with you a video that gives you a peek into the life of our schools. The peek is pre-pandemic, but this is what we all know and love about our schools, and we hope you'll enjoy the video.
We love Beverly Public Schools because of the community environment it embodies.
I love Beverly Schools because it's introduced me to teachers who have made a difference in my life, like Mr. Lanigan, who has encouraged me to improve my writing.
I want to be a neuroscientist, and I want to thank Ms. Dupre and Ms. Regan for influencing my decision.
Building relationships with students, and they kind of grow up throughout the year, and then they go with that confidence, and that's what I really like to see.
When you see the kids do something really amazing and awesome, and they're super engaged and into it, and you feel like, yes, finally, they love it as much as I do.
Being able to see how far they all come by the end of the year is definitely the best part and the part that I enjoy the most.
And when I go into the different settings of all the classrooms, I learn something different from every single teacher that I see and how they run their classroom.
Favorite part of my job is putting a smile on the kids' face every day, talking to the adults and families, getting to know them.
Fun teachers, new projects, and trying new things.
Math.
Going to specials.
Learning at recess.
Going to recess.
To recess. To recess.
Need fun, friends, and learning.
Is when they met Miss Quadros.
And knowing that I'm cared for and that my education is in good hands.
School is important because it teaches you things so that you can go to college and get a job.
So you can learn and use the things you learn throughout their life.
Because I can make friends and learn new strategies in math, reading, and writing and literacy.
Try our best and hope that we can be successful in what we do.
Well, school's gonna teach me all the historical events, all these different places.
To me, school means teachers who support you.
Well, you don't get a lot of chances like this to just learn and improve yourself at a variety of different subjects. Maybe you get to learn what you're interested in or what job you want to have.
It's in World Geo, we're learning about Africa and the capitals, and I try to remember all the capitals.
I think school is important because everyone needs education to get a good job and be good in life and succeed.
So now remember some things and some things not, but that's how school can probably fit into it. Yeah.
My homeroom teachers, Mr. M and Mrs. Spoon, because they teach a fun way. They teach it, but then they also make it fun. Miss Tully's a fun teacher, and she doesn't just do ordinary stuff. Mrs. Stancho and Miss Corning, because whenever there's a problem that I'm struggling on, they always really help me get through that problem.
One of the teachers that have affected me to gain more confidence, so to say, is Mrs. Terminello. Because one day, the art competition, I didn't win it, but she convinced me to enter and stuff like that.
Her name is Miss Lapart, and she is the best teacher ever. And she always helped me with everything when I had a rough day, when I needed help on my paper. She is the best teacher ever.
There's 3 specific teachers, Mr. Kruniak, Mrs. Hall, and Mrs. Pagulio. They are my 5th grade teachers, and I came out to them last year, and they made me really happy and supported me all through the year.
I would say don't be afraid to fail. I think far too many kids today are unwilling to take risks, and they think they have to do everything right the first time, and failure is an important part of growing.
Stick with it, and it'll be a great year. It'll be all worth it in the end.
Every day is a new day.
Remember to always be flexible.
Everyone deserves a chance to have their day go well, and even if it's for 2 seconds, my little wave, it means a lot to me.
Buckle down, work hard, and yes, there is an end to the school year.
It's hard. The days are long. Keep going. You guys do amazing things, and I am so proud to be a teacher in Beverly Public Schools and a parent, and I'm psyched that my kids go here.
We are Beverly Schools! We are Beverly Schools!
We are Beverly Schools.
We are Beverly Schools!
We are Beverly Schools.
We are Beverly Schools! We are Beverly Schools!
We are Beverly Schools.
We are Beverly Schools! We are Beverly Schools! We are Beverly Schools!
We are Beverly Schools. Yes, we are.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Kindergarten Parent Information Night. I'm Dr. Dorothy Flaherty, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Schools. And I bet that the one thing that you're wondering is that video from this year. It actually was from the spring of the previous year, so that you can see all of the wonderful things that are happening in our Beverly schools, but it was pre-COVID. And we have taken all the safety precautions this year, which wouldn't allow us to make that same video. This is always a very exciting night because it really is our first transfer into the next school year. And when we think about welcoming our kindergartners in from that video, we hope that you take away the fact that relationship building is very important to us. And also at the foundation of all of the work we do is that we want to have a joy for both teaching and learning. And I think that comes across strongly, that we want our kids to enjoy and have fun while they're also learning some very rigorous materials. So that's what we hope that introduction video will leave you feeling as you move forward. So this evening we have several speakers that are here. I want to first, in a moment, introduce each of our principals who are here to listen this evening, and then will join me later on for a question and answer period after you've heard from some speakers. And we will answer your questions. And if we don't get all of your questions answered this evening, we will put out a Q&A session afterwards. So one of my favorite things to start the Kindergarten Parent Night with when we're in person is to be able to ask everybody to raise their hands if this is their first child entering school or if they're returning. This is always exciting time, but also a nervous time if it's your first child. And so we want to make sure that you know from the beginning, we want to build relationships with our families as well. And that we are here to help you partner all the way through until your child comes to school. The good and the bad of all of the technology that we've learned to use this year is that the technology, such as tonight through Yardstream, allows us to be able to connect with everybody and to provide you the information, except I can't see all of your faces, so I can't ask that question. But I hope that before very soon, we'll have the vaccines out, and that this will really be the transition, as you saw in the video, back to a normal school year for the fall. So I want to welcome everybody this evening. Our principals, and I'm not sure if they will be able to come onto the screen, but I'd like to introduce them so that you can start to put a face and a name with your school. And I'm very happy to be able to introduce to you Miss Erin Brown, who is the principal of North Beverly.
Welcome, everyone.
Miss Gabrielle Montevecchi, who is the principal of Hannah Elementary School.
Nice to meet everybody.
Miss Megan Hart, the principal at Ayers.
Hi, Key families. Welcome.
Julie Smith, the principal at Centerville.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
And Miss Erin Sweeney, the principal at Cove. And while they're not part of the formal presentation, they will be joining me back after the speakers in order to do question and answers. We cannot take your verbal questions in this evening, so you'll notice that there is a chat box. We ask you to type your questions in as you're going through, and you have them. And we'll be monitoring the chat box, and we'll come back together to answer those at the end. And again, if we don't get to all of the questions, then we will put out a Q&A and make sure that it gets to you. And so I'm going to now introduce Miss Bethany Spolansky, who will be taking over to talk about the registration process. Then we have a speaker that will talk about ELL and how to make sure that your child gets services if they need that. We also will have some of our community partners, and most importantly, we have one of our kindergarten teachers that will tell you and show you what a day in the life of a kindergartner will look like. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Miss Bethany Spolansky.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Dr. Flaherty, and thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm very happy to announce that this year we'll be doing our kindergarten registration process online for the first time. So I'm going to be walking you through how to register for kindergarten. So the first thing you're going to want to do before you start the registration process is gather up the paperwork that you will need to upload. There are 4 documents that will need to be uploaded in the registration process. The first is a birth certificate. The second is your immunization and physical exam record. And then you'll need 2 proofs of residency. And this can be a deed, a lease, a real estate bill, a mortgage statement, or a recent phone, gas, or electric bill. If you reside with somebody else, you will need a notarized letter from the owner stating that you and your child live with them, and then you'll need to provide 2 forms of proof of residency listed in their name. So it's important that you get these documents prepared before you start the registration process so that you can upload them when needed. Uploading them is very easy. You can take a picture of them on your phone or you can scan them to a PDF. And once they're ready to be uploaded, you can start the registration process. So you're going to go to register.beverlyschools.org, and this will lead you to our online registration portal. And you can see here a picture of what it looks like when you go to that website. And you'll see at the bottom there in blue, it says kindergarten registration. So you'll click on that link. And when you click on the link, you'll be in the portal, which will have forms for you to complete. And then you'll upload the documents which you've prepared to be uploaded. So the registration portal is now open. And if you need a review of any of the directions of how to register, you can find that on our website. If you go under district information and then under enrolling your child, and then kindergarten registration, we'll have the link to register and all the directions to register. Anyone who registers by the end of January is prioritized for placement in your home school. So if you can register in the month of January, that would be great. And just a reminder that your child must turn 5 on or before August 31st, 2021 to attend kindergarten next year. In terms of transportation, we provide transportation when students are placed away from their home school or when families live more than 2 miles from the school. If you have specific questions regarding transportation, the best thing to do is to contact the transportation department directly, and they can answer any questions that you may have. You can also find information on our district website when you go to resources and then transportation. And next, I'm going to introduce June Kazis, who's going to talk to us about the medical requirements for kindergarten registration.
Hello, welcome everyone. I'd like to take a few minutes to go over the medical documentation that you'll need to complete for your child to enter school. So first off, a completed immunization series is required. The list of the required vaccines is listed on our district website under health services, and you can also get it through your pediatrician. This year, the flu vaccine is newly required for all students. Since it's given on a yearly basis, please check with your child's pediatrician for the appropriate administration schedule. As far as exemptions go, only medical and religious exemptions will be accepted. So please submit any of these exemption requests in writing to the school nurse at your assigned building. You can also access the school nurse's contact information through the district website, also under health services in the school nurse directory. So the other thing that you'll need is a current physical examination done within 6 months, either before or after entrance to school. So if your child has any chronic conditions, allergies, or may require any medication at school, please contact your assigned school nurse and arrange to meet to discuss any accommodations that may need to be made. The nurse will create an individualized healthcare plan based upon the information that you provide. So now I'd like to turn this over to Caitlin Beleza, our ELL specialist.
Thank you, June, and good evening, everyone. And as Ms. Hart had said, welcome, K families. We are so excited to bring you into the Beverly Public Schools. As June mentioned, my name is Caitlin Beleza, and I'm going to share a little bit of information about one of the district enrollment forms that you will complete during registration, and just how that relates to our English Learner Education, or ELE program. The form on this screen is called the Home Language Survey. And it's mandated by federal and state law that schools provide in-school resources to support the academic success of English learners. So to help us identify English learners, all students enrolling in a public school in Massachusetts must have a completed home language survey in their student record. This form collects information about the languages used in your home, and that helps us develop a language profile for your child. Questions on this form include the primary language of each parent and guardian, the primary language of your child, and other questions related to language use if there is a language other than English spoken in your home. This form is available in English on the registration portal, and it can also be provided in other languages like Arabic, Portuguese, or Spanish by request. So if you do need this form in another language, please contact someone at McEwen, or you may reach out to me to obtain that translated form should you need one. Since we're hosting kindergarten registration online this year, the forms will be reviewed upon receipt, and I will contact you for further information if we notice there's another language other than English listed anywhere on the form. Based on our discussion, we'll determine if your child should be screened to assess his or her English language proficiency level. In cases where a child is learning another language in addition to English, so for instance, in a daycare setting, if Spanish was being taught within a lesson, but the primary language is still English, we most likely will not conduct an English language screening. In cases where your child is learning English and another language simultaneously, so at the same time, or if English is not the first or primary language of your child, then we will likely conduct an English language screening. The screening consists of two parts. It's listening and speaking, and the tasks are just looking at whether or not a child has the English language proficiency to be successful both socially and academically in kindergarten. The screening is separate from DIAL, and it will take place once we return to school in the fall. So once students have come in and started to adjust to school, we'll complete our ELE screening, and then DIAL will also be completed. Parents and guardians will be notified, so you'll be notified by the ESL teacher if your child is eligible for the ELE program and whether or not the ESL services will be provided in kindergarten. They will start within the first few weeks. And for children who do qualify, the ESL services will be conducted and provided during the school day, during regular school hours. So it's not before school, it's not something after school, it's not in addition, it's right within your child's regular daily schedule. And we do have an ESL teacher in each of our elementary schools, so it'll be right at their home school. So if you have any questions or concerns, my contact information is here. Please feel free to reach out. Again, thank you for your time. We're so excited to welcome you to our schools. I'd like to now turn our presentation over to Margie, who will give us an overview of the kindergarten program structure. Thank you.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Margie Roy. I am a kindergarten teacher at the Centerville School. I've been teaching kindergarten or first grade for Beverly Public Schools for 18 years. And I'm still very proud to be part of our Beverly School program. I wanted to tell you a little bit about our kindergarten day. We have full day kindergarten is offered for our students. The full day is from 7:55 till 2 o'clock. In all of our schools, we follow our Massachusetts curriculum frameworks, and the students, I will show you as we move through the next slide, a day in the life of the kindergartner, trying to give you a little bit of an idea of how, what our program looks like. Before I show you those pictures, we do have breakfast and lunch offered through our school, and the children are able to come in and go to our cafeteria. Breakfast starts at 7:35. It is monitored by our school staff, and then they come to the classroom. Children are also able to buy school lunch during a typical year. Right now, we are fortunate that everybody is getting a free lunch as they leave school each day. During a regular year, the children will learn how to use a PIN number to access their account, and you'll get more information about that on our on the district website. It helps you know how to set up that account. So this is just a brief introduction to your kindergarten experience at Beverly Public Schools. Each school will offer additional times where we invite you either to the school if the rules allow us to do that, or we might host a individual school orientation. Most importantly, in the fall, we have a curriculum night. And during that evening, you will really get a picture of the individual curriculums that we use for our kindergarten program. Screening this year will take place in the fall, as we did this past year due to the virus. And we are going to think about ways to probably do a little bit of an informal screening in the spring. It's really exciting for us to get to see the children before they come in the fall so that we have a sense of personalities and faces to put to our names so that we can make our classrooms. You heard Caitlin refer to the dial. That is the screening tool that we will use in the fall to screen your child. We look at the areas of motor skills, language skills, and concepts. And we also look at behavioral observations, how children are able to transition. There's nothing you need to really practice. It just is a little snapshot for us to get to know the skills that your child has as they are entering kindergarten. And we will certainly follow up with a letter to let you know how that goes. So here's our day in a life of a Beverly kindergarten student. We've included pictures from years past, as well as some to show you what it might look like this year as we have changed the setup of our classrooms. Each morning begins with our daily routines, attendance or lunch count or morning work for the students. And then we have a circle time. You heard a lot from Dr. Flaherty about building community, and that's very important within our individual classrooms for children to get to know each other. And we follow our responsive classroom procedures to help build that sense of classroom. Then there's an opportunity for literacy time. During literacy time, there is both whole group and small group work. Our kindergarten programs use a variety of different curriculum during this time, from Wilson Foundations to Lively Letters and Reading Street, to develop children's awareness of letter and letter sounds, to be able to write those. So we work both in whole group and small group, and you can see how we have done some of that outside this year, which has been really fun. We have daily math routines that we use, calendar, weather, number talks. This is an example of a number talk we have done. During kindergarten, your child will be using an iPad, and there are a couple of programs that are key to our kindergarten experience. Core 5 is a program that we use for reading. ST Math is one that we use, obviously, for math. And Seesaw is a program that allows us to share work with you at home and also to upload activities for children to do for further practice at home. This is an example of the success that children have when using Lexia. They get a certificate as they finish each level. And again, here are pictures of probably, as you heard in that other video, the most favorite time of all, recess. Outdoor playing and nature walks and getting fresh air is a very important part of your child's day. And these are more examples. The children will, in a typical school year, get to go to specials, which include STEAM, art, gym, and music. Some schools have STEAM fairs. Here's an example of an art class. And now I'm going to turn it over to Lorigan, who is a representative from our Beverly YMCA for their after-school program.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much. I am Lorigan Sudak. I'm the Director of School Age Operations over at the Y. And I'm very excited to be here and tell everybody about our after-school program. Our after-school program actually runs inside all of our 5 elementary schools within the city, which is great for parents and kids alike. We have a very simple goal of we want kids to grow their self-confidence, interpersonal relationships, positive values, academic achievement, physical skills, and build a sense of community. And I think you'll find community as a theme throughout being within the school system. Our programs, like I said, run in all 5 elementary schools. They run right after dismissal up until either 3:30 or 6 o'clock. And you can choose your schedule based on space per day. We have a 2, 3, 4, or 5-day option for each week. And all of our registration is online. We have financial assistance available as well through the YMCA of the North Shore. And we do offer no school day programs, vacation day programs, and we are there on half days as well. We were lucky enough to be able to run our after school program this year, even during COVID, and we have had a great time, and we are so excited to see all of our new friends next year as well for the new school year in 2021.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lorgan. We will have somebody from BCLC joining us shortly to talk about the program that they have after school. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and move forward with some of the questions that have been asked. So I'm going to invite Dr. Flaherty back to help us answer some questions.
Thank you. I know that was a lot of information, but please know that tomorrow we will post this on the website. So if there's anything you want to go back and re-listen to, you'll be able to do that as well. I want to thank all of the parents that shared. We've got quite a few parents that shared that this is their first child. So welcome to the next 18, years of school and public school and college, and it will be a great experience. We do have some questions that are coming in, and I believe the principals are going to join us so that some of those can be answered. But as I'm looking through them, one of the questions that we did receive is, will half-day kindergarten be an option? No, it will not. We will not be offering a half-day kindergarten. All of our kindergarten is free full day next year. We got a question. I'm going to throw it out to one of the principals to answer that says, how much outdoor and unstructured time do the kids get? And I know that they're going to brag about all of the outdoor learning that we've been doing this year. So it's a combination of both. Gabrielle, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Thanks for asking that question. And Dr. Flaherty is right. We all are very proud of the expanded outdoor learning opportunities that our children have this year. We're very fortunate in Beverly to have beautiful outdoor campuses. Many of you know that already for having visited with older children or with younger children and playing on our beautiful playgrounds and out in the fields and the woods around our schools. All of the schools do have a regularly scheduled recess time. Most buildings have an outdoor morning recess. That's a little bit different this year due to our COVID protocols. And then we also have a regularly scheduled recess time built in during the day. Generally, that's after snack time. And this year, just like any other year, our kindergartners are thrilled to be outside. They're playing all kinds of new, very imaginative games as we maintain our social distancing, but they're having a lot of physical activity, getting a lot of gross motor in there, and we build in as much of that as we possibly can. I think all my colleagues would agree with me that we encourage our kindergarten teachers to build in additional outdoor exploration time as part of our curriculum as well.
Thank you. Our next question is again for outdoor. Julie Smith, can you answer how much outdoor and unstructured time do the kids get? I think this was talking about then building into recess. Is recess contained within the school grounds?
Well, that's a question that's really, I think the answer for that has changed and really will be determined class by class. I think that a lot of teachers are definitely exploring new ways to teach outside. So I don't see that going away. So I don't know that there's no sort of clear number to that. I just know that the teachers are really going outside a lot more. And unstructured is kind of a funny word for us this year because we are really running a very structured program even when kids are outside. So we're outside a lot, but I will tell you that we are a little bit more structured about that just to manage the groupings of students. Students certainly get a lot of freedom within that structure. So that's kind of a broad question that will have different numerical answers based on the classroom and the school that you're at.
Thanks. This next question, we may need to follow up a little bit on with the amount of homeschooling that happens. So Julie, you might be able to jump in and help me with this as well as Bethany. But the question is, this year we homeschooled our 5-year-old. We never submitted a formal kindergarten homeschool plan. Will the assessments advise us whether to enroll him in kindergarten or enroll him in first grade? Kindergarten isn't mandatory, so you wouldn't have necessarily had to file a plan. But Bethany, do you know, will that be an option for testing and then be able to talk about where we think the student should be best placed?
So I'm guessing that when they are asking about assessment, that they're talking about the kindergarten screening process.
Yes.
Yeah. So that would not specifically be used to inform, what grade level a child was placed at. We would, if a child was homeschooled for their kindergarten year, then we would assume that we would be placing them after that year into first grade. Correct.
But Lisa, if you have any specific questions, you can reach out and call my office and we can talk about specifics. But overall, because kindergarten isn't mandatory, and age-wise, your child would be ready to register for first grade. Julie, is there anything from the homeschool standpoint that you would want to add to that?
I think it's a case-by-case scenario that I would say to parents, if you're in, I know we have a few of them in that case this year, so I would just advise you to call your homeschool and talk to your principal and work that out.
We have a question about whether it's safe to put personal information online. Yeah, you'll be registering through the school portal, which is our Aspen portal. I believe that's where all the forms will be. Is that true, Bethany?
Through our portal, correct.
So it is a secure site, so it is safe to put any information in there. June, we have a question about the physical exam. Is the physical exam within 6 months of registration or 6 months to the start of the school year?
It's on either side. So it would be 6 months prior to starting school or 6 months after starting school. We had to give this window because as far as insurance coverage goes, parents are allowed a yearly physical. So this seemed to cover everyone's anniversary date, so to speak.
Thank you. Bethany, can we register now and update and maybe June as well? Can we register now and update physical information for summer birthdays later? So based on your last answer, I'm going to assume that the answer to that is yes.
Yes.
How does a parent find out what school their child would be attending?
So if you go to the kindergarten registration page, we actually have a link there to the school directory that lists all of the streets and which school the homeschool is for each street. So the link is there on that kindergarten registration page.
Okay. Do any of the principals, while we're waiting, there are no other questions right now. You want to just roll around and you can share some information, or if you have anything specific you'd like to say about your own schools for people while we're waiting for questions. Erin, would you like to say anything about North Beverly?
Well, we'd just like to welcome everybody to North Beverly and all the schools. I think all of us were planning, depending on how things go with the virus, hopefully we can have some time either in person or virtually to meet your children once they're placed at each school, which you'll find out later towards the end of the year. So that'll be something you'll get information from us, each of your schools, once we know, who's going to which school. So we're excited about that.
Gabrielle?
Welcome to all of my incoming Hannah families and to siblings of current Hannah students. I'm just noticing a question in the chat, which I'll address on behalf of all of us. Yes, we do have a school-based orientation. You'll receive more information from each of the individual schools. Generally, that takes place in the spring, and then there'll be another time to come back in the fall for the dial screening. So there'll be a couple of opportunities to visit the school before your child is registered. Something we always say at this meeting is if you have particular questions related to your students' needs, feel free to reach out to your child's principal between now and the summertime. If you have specific concerns or questions you'd like to address, we're all available via email.
Thanks, Megan. You want to welcome your heirs family?
Sure, yes. Hi, heirs families. We are so very excited that you will be joining us this year. We know what an exciting time this is for families, and it looks like a lot of our people that have joined us tonight are first-time parents. So welcome. We are very excited for you to join our community. I think one of the things you will soon find about Beverly Public Schools is that all of our elementary schools work very, very closely with each other. And so we hope that the experience that you would get at one building would be very similar at another building. And so we are very excited to be a part of your lives and welcome you here.
Thanks. Julie?
Yeah, welcome to Centerville families. I'll just echo a lot of what my colleagues have said, that, you know, it's so funny to sit here and to be in a position of answering questions when we kind of have just as many questions as you have about what it looks like. But I do think that as crazy as things are, I think it's a really exciting time for us in schools in having a year that we are doing things very differently. And I think that we are going to change for the better going in years forward. And so your kids, when they join us, will be the beneficiaries of that. And so we do look forward to meeting you in whatever way possible. And I will just say, do not hesitate. If you have any questions, please reach out to your home principal, and we would love to start building those relationships with you as soon as possible.
Erin Sweeney?
Hi, co-families. Welcome. We can't wait to welcome you next year, hopefully in an environment that'll be closer to normal than not, but it will be an environment that takes, both what used to be normal and the things we've learned about this year that aren't so normal, but the things that we've learned that hopefully will be improvements to the way we do things, like the outdoor learning part of school and some of the other things that have been positive in this year that's been so strange. So we look forward hopefully to welcome your children into kindergarten, and we know that you'll love it. Whichever school that you go to, they're all great.
They all are. They're wonderful. Bethany, can you review the dates that people need to register by? And is there a date, if you want to make sure you get priority for your homeschool assignment, that you should be aiming for?
Yes, so our registration period runs through January. We will still accept registrations after that, but that's considered the registration period that gives you priority for your homeschool. So the goal would be to register by the end of January. And if we need to have all of the documents submitted in order for the registration to be complete, all the documents to be uploaded.
And they don't need anything signed or any forms filled out by their preschool teachers, correct?
Correct. Yep. They just need to fill out the forms within the portal and upload those for documents.
Great. Hold on, my screen scrolled up on me. I've just got to find where we were on the list. Can you attend a different school besides your home school? We do have some open enrollment, but we do have to wait until we see first that our homeschool requests are filled, and then if there are open seats from there, then you can do an open enrollment period. But you would register for your homeschool and then let us know that you would prefer a different location, and if there are seats available. Principals, if I'm wrong with that, I know that that's how we did it this year. You can jump in and say differently. Do you imagine a part virtual environment or a hybrid? Well, right now, especially for our elementary schools, we're actually in every day. It is called a hybrid environment, but our students come every day from 8 to noon. And we're all hoping that, you know, the vaccines take hold and that by summer we're in a much more normal world again, so that we can return to school in September. But all of that is kind of still in the future. So right now it's our hope that we'll be back in a more normal for all of our students, but at very least, we would want our elementaries, because we've found such a value in our smallest learners being able to come every day, and the consistency has been so wonderful. In fact, our students are thriving when you're walking through the school. So right now, that would be our hope, is that even if we were still in any type of hybrid, that it would be more of a shortened day, but bringing kids in every day and continuing the model that we have going now. Is there special education offered for kids who are on an IEP already at McEwen? Yes, that would their IEP would continue with them into their kindergarten years. If once a team, you know, if there was any changes, it would be a team meeting that would make those alterations. Correct, Ms. Lansky?
Yep, that's correct. At the meeting that would take place while the child was still in preschool at McEwen, there would be talk about the transition to kindergarten, and whatever services would be required would be written into the IEP at that time.
Bethany, would you also like to answer? I took a look at the registration form and was confused about the contact section and why you would need to list who is not authorized to pick up, and that would probably be very specific family situations, I would imagine.
Correct. Yeah, we would just want to know if, for whatever reason, if there's somebody who does not have a legal right to be picking up your child, we would just want to know about that. So it might not apply to most cases.
And sometimes in custody issues, there would be legal reasons why somebody couldn't pick up somebody. Curious to know if there's a concerted effort to diversify the staff, faculty, and administration in the elementary schools. Can you talk a little bit more about that? That is an effort district-wide that we are working on. Dr. Andre Morgan is somebody that you'll meet. He came on board this year as our Director of Opportunity, Access, and Equity. And I know that a lot of the schools are doing book reads, and we're also talking about how to attract a more diverse staff through our fellowship programs and also in hiring. So this is something that the district is very committed to. Again, when do we need to submit the applications from that? You'll be getting information on that. The dates were in the presentation, and that will be online again tomorrow. Well, I'm scrolling through, Bethany. Do you want to just, that's probably the most important piece that everybody wants to walk away with tonight. So somebody may have logged in late and didn't hear that information.
Sure, yeah. So you can register anytime during the month of January. You can register after the month of January too, but if you can register during the month of January, that will give you priority to be attending your home school. And so you'll just need to click on the link for our portal and enter in your information and upload your documents. And then once you submit your completed application, you'll be placed on a list and will receive additional information about your placement.
We have a question, and I don't believe Caitlin was able to stay for the question and answer, but for anybody that does not speak English, we will have the forms available in Portuguese, Spanish, and Arabic in addition to English. And if there is another language that's not there, then we can work to make sure that we get those forms translated for parents to fill out. Will the COVID vaccine be required? Do you imagine the next school year being more of a typical year? We do hope that it will be more typical year. I do not know that right now it doesn't appear that they're going to make it a requirement, but that can always change. That would probably be done more on a state level than an individual district level. I'm a parent of incoming kindergarten twins. What is the policy for twins regarding whether they are together in the same class or separate? Historically, you could have a conversation with your principal, and we have families that have gone either way. This year was kind of an anomaly. We tried to keep siblings together so that if there was an illness at home, then it only affected one classroom and not two. But I know that there are people that feel both ways. They want, in some ways, multiple children to be separated, and then others that would prefer to have them together, or for anxiety reasons, they would want them together, or just that they, thrive being together, or they want them to be separated so they have their own experience. So that would be a conversation that you could have with your principal. How often will I be updated on my child's progress? Erin, you want to field that and talk a little bit about the assessment and when report cards and information like that comes out for parents?
I'm not sure which Erin, but I'll go.
Erin Brown, I meant you, sorry.
You will certainly receive something about their screening. You'll receive information about that after screening. But you'll also receive information throughout the year, different trimester marks. We have 3 trimesters during the year where you'll receive report cards. We have conferences always at the beginning of December, right as those first report cards are coming out. And anytime that you have any questions or concerns or just want some information, you can always contact the teachers and have a conference before or after any formal conference days. And in terms of special education, at the same time that you receive report cards, you will receive progress reports about your student, your child, and their progress towards their individual goals.
Thank you. June, my child's immunization was updated in December, but has not had a physical since early 2020. Do we need another physical before registration?
If it falls into that category where it is 6 months prior or 6 months ahead, then no, you'll be able to start with the most current physical, and then you make an appointment for your next scheduled time. It's always best to just contact your school nurse about this. If you have any questions whatsoever, they can take a look at what's actually on the record, see what you may be outstanding or not, and give you some more individualized guidance. So that would be my recommendation.
We had a question about remote learning and whether that will still be considered, or is it the assumption that we're returning to in-person for kindergarten? Again, that's something that we're monitoring on an ongoing basis. It is our hope that we'll be in person, but we may still need to consider other avenues as well, depending on where we are with the virus, how that affects, some health situations. So that will definitely be something that we continue to monitor and discuss as we get closer to the fall opening. Another question about the paper forms being available in other languages, but online it's in English. It is in English right now, but we are in the process of having them translated into 4 different languages. So they will be available soon online in multiple languages. And if anybody has specific questions, if you reach out to your principal, we can have Ms. Beleza contact you directly. She's our director of the ELL program. But that is, I spoke with Ellen Faulkner, who's my administrative assistant, and she was working on that today. So we are working on getting the online forms translated. Let's see. Our son's birthday. Sorry, when somebody adds a new question in, the whole post moves up.
I'll take the late August birthday question.
Okay, thank you.
Because I have a late August birthday myself. So I would say register now and take, you want to keep the spot and, reach out. Again, these are family-based decisions, and I want you to consider your elementary schools an extension of your family. These are individual case-by-case grapplings that parents have. And so I would just say reach out to your principal, and talk it through when making that decision, but definitely register now and keep the spot. And, we could probably always fill that spot later.
Thank you. And Ms. Polanski's office is in McEwen, so if you have specific questions, that is where you can reach out to her. Kindergarten being full-time, are there options to send them less than 5 days a week? No, right now the program is 5 days a week and it is a full day. There's a question about pathways, but I don't quite understand what somebody is trying to find out. Bethany, can you see that? Do you? No.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. The question about pathways, I'm not quite sure.
At the moment, there's a lot of stuff like state ward, LEP services, 504, and a lot of other stuff. Can someone explain that?
Yeah, so I think the question, when you're looking through the forms in the portal, they're just asking if your child has an IEP, if your child has a 504, they're just asking whether or not your child falls into any of those categories. And if you're not sure, that's fine. We can always follow up with you afterward if you're not sure what any of that information means. There'll be an opportunity to speak to somebody in our office about any questions you have about the forms.
This year, what is the percentage of students that do not get assigned to their home school? I believe this year, everybody that requested, or everybody got their home school, if I'm correct. Nod if you think that's different.
I think there may have been a few families who weren't assigned to their home school, but typically when that happens, it's a very, very late registration that might come in after the classes have been formed. And so, as long as you register within the registration period or, the spring, the likelihood of getting your homeschool is very, very high. We always prioritize putting students in their homeschool if that's where they would like to be.
The language of the proof of residency requires mortgage statement along with, and then lists electric bill, gas, etc. The portal only allows us to submit 2 documents total.
Right.
That's something we can.
You only need 2 documents, and it doesn't matter which of those 2. You just have to have 2 proofs of residency that you're submitting into the portal, and they can be any 2 from that list.
And Caitlin did email in. She's watching on the YouTube channel. So if anybody has specific questions around ELL or getting information in various languages, she has put her contact information in the chat. And it's C. Bellezza, BELLEZZA @beverlyschools.org. June, my child gets vaccines at her annual visit in November. Are her November 2020 vaccinations and physical results sufficient for enrollment in January?
Well, they could be. Most children do get their completed series, but what we typically do is take a look at the immunization records when they come in during the registration process in January. And what we will do is let you know if there is any particular one that is outstanding. And it will give you plenty of time to contact your doctor and, get that before your child actually begins school. So we'll take a closer look at that in January.
Does kindergarten offer detention? And at what time should I plan on picking my child up from there? We really work on trying to do something called zones of regulation, and we start from a learning standpoint. Dan's there, what's expected and why they're acting out, and there'll be a whole lot of talking with parents and working on strategies long before we give a kindergarten student a detention. We will again have this video posted tomorrow, so if you wanted to rewatch it anytime, you can do that. The Pathways question is a sibling of a kindergartner. She needs help getting the forms translated and asked for the contact information. If you contact our office tomorrow, either myself or Ms. Spolansky, we'll make sure that we connect you with somebody that can help.
Dr. Flaherty, if we could take a moment to loop back to BCLC. I know Anne is here and would like to share some information about the BCLC program.
That's great. And then we'll come back and I'll just do a wrap-up question. And again, if you have additional questions moving forward from here, I know that once you think about everything you've heard, you may have some questions. Please feel free to reach out to any of us and we will help to shepherd you through the process. So it's my pleasure to introduce our representative from BCLC.
So hi, can everybody hear me? I think so. Okay. So I am here to represent the Beverly Children's Learning Center, BCLC. We're located at 550 Cabot Street. And we have programming from infants up to age 13, so 8th grade middle school. What we can offer to kindergarten parents, incoming kindergarten parents, is a program that is an out-of-school time program. It really operates when Beverly Public Schools are not operating. So that means summers. The school-age kids, as we call them, are here full-time. School vacations, we're here full-time. After-school care for regular days, if you will. And if there's an early release in the Beverly schools, then your kindergartners could come here afterwards, and then you can pick them up when your work day is finished. So currently, our center is open from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. When COVID goes away, we hope to resume our regular hours, which are 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you would have childcare as late as 6 p.m. most likely starting in the fall. We do offer transportation from the Beverly Public Schools to our program. We have a big yellow bus that says Beverly Children's Learning Center on the side and 2 vans. We provide a good snack, which really is a supper, nice warm supper when they get here. They then have different clubs that they can attend based on interests. And we also offer homework help. And then the children get lots of time to go and run around on our beautiful nature program, which is playground rather, which is only a year old. So it's a really family-oriented center. We have some kids who started with us as infants and who are in the school age program, you know, even in middle school. So yes, if you are looking for childcare for a younger child, I am the early ed program director. So that's my specialty, infants through pre-K. And I do have a few openings. We have a website. It's listed right here, bclckids.org, where all the information is. Or you can give us a call at 978-927-1269. I think that's all I've got.
Thank you, Anne. And again, thank you to Margie and Julie, who continue to answer some questions in the chat. I want to thank you all for coming this evening. I will end with one of my favorite memories of the year, and it's one I share and tell everybody. And it happened on the first day of school that we welcomed elementary students back. And, you know, the first day can be a little nerve-wracking for students. However, after being out for so long in the spring, our students were so happy to get back into school. They were literally skipping. And, you know, sometimes you'll see a few tears on that first day. Not this year. There wasn't one tear. Students were so excited and so ready to come back to school that I only saw one little boy who was crying, and he was sobbing, and he was a kindergarten student. And I'll tell you that he was sobbing because kindergarten started a week late this year. And so all his two brothers got to go into school and he had to wait. And he was so sad because he had to wait a week. And I think that you will find that once your students start in school, they're going to love coming every day. It's a warm, welcoming environment at all of our schools, all 5 of the elementary schools, for families. And it really is a sense of community. And we hope that you're embarking on a wonderful experience for next year. And just remember to keep communication open and know that we're here to help you with the process. So thank you again for coming this evening. We will post this tomorrow. And if you have questions, please reach out to your home principals, to myself, or to Ms. Wolanski, and we will make sure that we get the information that you need in order to have a smooth transition to kindergarten in the fall. Thank you all for coming and have a wonderful evening.